So the other day I was out here working on this carburetor and I stopped because my back hurt, and been hurting ever since, except this morning. I woke up and I threw one leg over the side of the bed and my back went crack. I heard it, I felt it, and it's a little sore, but it's not like it was. I think I might have cured myself, given myself my own homemade chiropractical adjustment. Oh, the joy. Let's turn some light on here, see if we can see what we're looking at. So I'm back with this Edelbrock carburetor and still dismantling. I'm dismantling and dismembering it a little bit at a time. Oh, she's loose. She's ready to fall off. Now this little thing here, I don't know how much y'all can see. Maybe I ought to look. Yeah, I just went and checked, and y'all can see fine. I'm gonna sit you back here a little further. Seems like the further back you are, the more range you have in a thiswardly direction. So I took all these bolts off. I took these bolts off, and I took these little side thingies off. Took the pins out of them. There's an arm that is hooked right here, and oh, that's got a pin in it. I started to say that when you lifted that off, you turned it sideways, because it used to be that some of them would be like that. They'd have a little thing with a flat side, and you turn it. But this one actually has another one of those little bitty pins like I showed you yesterday. And that is so small. I almost need, I had this magnifying glass thing at one point, but it lit up and it was a magnifying glass, but you had to plug it into a computer. Well, I've got a computer plug right there, so I wonder what I did with it. I may not have moved off and left it. It might still be somewhere. Of course, I had it up in Maine, so if it is somewhere, it's probably in a box. Let's see, that is that small. I can't even hardly see that thing. I'm putting these in a butter dish over here so they won't get losted. We don't want them to get losted. Now this top part is loose now. We're just going to lift her up. No, I should have pushed that out. We're just going to lift her up. Look at that. Oh, well, just look at it. There's both of my floats are right there. I think I'm just going to flip this upside down. See, these are my two floats, and this is my accelerator pump right here. Oh, look how dirty that is. Oh, y'all remember me saying that a lot of times with a carburetor, that the biggest thing it needs is to be cleaned up. Let me get a flashlight and I'm gonna let you look down in there. That looks like the floor of a chicken house. Okay, look at here. This is what I'm talking about. You see down in there? You see down in there? You see that and that and that? Look how nasty that is. That right there, that's the part where you got to get your pumper to pump. And them little jet thingies that's on either side of that other thingy, I think they go right down in there. See, all this. I don't even have to take this apart much more than I already have. I could very easily blow out a lot. I think I'll take that off right there and clean it and clean the passageways out. I'll pull these little thingies right there off and pull them out and clean them out, and I'll pull that off. I bet this right here fits that. Nope, that's the little one. Where's the other one? I had another one that was a bigger one. What'd I do with that? I thought I had it right here in the front of me. What did I do? I might have put it, oh, here it is. It's on this gun, see? Oh, look at that. You see what I just did? Dropped that right down in there. Of course, all I got to do, that went straight through, so I can pick that up. There it is right there. So this little thing here fits that, and it fits that, and it fits that. This is the same little one that took the lid off here. And I wish I had one of these it'll go in there and stay put, because this one will fall out if I let it, but I won't let it. I won't drop it again. I'll try not to drop it again. So I need me a magnetical one of these. So let's start off by taking this one out. Alrighty, I might want to get me another separate container to put these in. Now see, these got little needle valve thingies on them too. I'll see how dirty that is. I think I'll do that. I think I'll take these one at a time. Well, I do want to blow all this out though. So I'll tell you what, I'm gonna find, I don't want to do anything with this container here, but I'm gonna get me another container. I'm gonna start putting those in there. But in the old days, we used to keep like a bottle, a can, a jug. Well, engine cleaner, carburetor cleaner used to be very common, and then it got to where it was hazardous. It was hazardous to the environment, and then it wasn't so common anymore. And then, like I used to have this big old thing like a kitchen sink, and it had engine cleaner in it. It was a chemical that wasn't good for the environment. At a certain point, it got to where it's hard to buy the chemical. And then they started putting in a gallon can, but then the gallon can tended to evaporate, and then they got down to squirt cans like you got nowadays. The squirt cans work pretty good, and I guess you get a lot less of it in the environment if it's coming out of a squirt can, so I mean that's good. Now, I don't think it matters about these ones as far as keeping one side straight from the other, because they'll only go back on there a certain way, right? So what I may just do is put them down in here, squirt a bunch of that stuff down in there. And that one's got a little tiny gasket, and this one's got a little tiny gasket stuck to down there, so that'll help me keep them separated from which one is which. This thing is annoying. I'm gonna find one of these that works better than that. So this is a piece of welding wire. It's probably 30 thousandths. It's pretty small, but sometimes you have an opening somewhere in something that needs to be cleaned out that needs a pretty small piece of something to stick down into it. Now there's parts of this video that you don't want to watch because it's going to be boring. It's going to be me sitting here fishing around and feeling all these parts and cleaning things and putting them back in, taking them out, shaking them around, and consulting the magical powers to try to figure out what to do with what. So generally what I do when I get them parts, I just speed it up. That way y'all don't have to spend as much time watching it as you would otherwise. I'm gonna rub some grease on my hands to separate them from me and the acetone in this carburetor cleaner. I think what happens, this is a pretty thin oil right here. I can't remember what it came out of. But what happens, sometimes that acetone, it can get down in your skin. If you put grease on your hand, it sinks down into the pores of your skin. I'm talking like motor oil, some kind of regular oil. That's a lot better for you than having that acetone eating up your liver. So let's do that. I can't remember what I took this oil out of. Very fine oil. My dad used to work in the garage, and he would coat his hands in clean motor oil before he went to work, because the clean motor oil, he said, would get down in his skin and it would keep the grease and stuff from down in his hands, so he couldn't wash it off later. So that's kind of what that's kind of the direction that I was heading in with what I just did there on that. Here I am.
Okay, we're headed into Hartwell. I got Daisy.
Okie dokie.
Be back in a little bit.
Okie dokie.
Love you.
Love you too. And these are those two valves that I told you a while ago I was going to screw them all the way in. I say valves, they're two adjusters. So I'm going to do that, screw them all the way in. I'm actually going to turn them both one complete turn out. When I put them on the car, see this faces the front, so you can kind of lean over the hood and get to these and adjust them. These are, so I'm going to turn that one turn. I'm going to turn this one one turn, although this one here was actually adjusted 2.5 turns, so if I get it cranked up and I can't seem to get it to be right, first thing I'll do is back this out a little bit more. So there's that. Now these are the screws that go in the top of that when I put that carburetor back on there. I've got the floats. It's not the floats. I've got the floats here. And the biggest thing about the floats is making sure that this passageway here is good, which I can already see through that one, but I'm just going to kind of wash this up, squirt some stuff in it, make sure I got a good flow there. And that's gonna screw right down into there with my fat screwdriver, like I did a while ago. Same with this one. I'll put that one here. Y'all remember this float goes, well, this goes down in that thing we just washed and put back in there. And then this float sits over that. And there's a little bend so that float don't go too low, because you don't want that float to go down too far. And then it has to be that this pin passes through this. And I'll move y'all over here and let you see what I just did now. So that little valve that looks like that down there went down in here. This pin went through here. This float's here, and this float will go down that far and down this far. Now when it goes down this far, it's pushing that valve. You won't see that now because it's upside down, but when that's right side up, this will determine where that valve sits down in there. I'm going to do the other side same way.